Hey guys, I just wanted to come on a little early just to give people an opportunity to come in. Um, so I'll give them a few minutes and see if anybody shows up. Hope everybody's having a really good day today. Here in Texas, it is freezing. You'll notice I have a sweater on. I've got my hot tea, so I'm really ready for this. Um, the topic for today is going to be dealing with failures or dealing with successes and failures um, before my stroke and after my stroke. So we'll give people just a few more minutes to kind of uh, come in. If anyone shows up, I hope they do because, the mission of me wanting to do this is, I had to think about it for a long time. Um, because a lot of negative things can come out of it, but a lot of positive things can come out of it. And I realized that there's so many people out there that struggle with some of the same issues that I do. Um, you know, when I first started this, I informed everybody that depending on the day and the amount of fatigue and the amount of uh, it's a brain fog. So you'll notice that my speech today may be a little different. It can be from fatigue. It can be because I woke up real early because I, had been praying about what I wanted to talk about and how I could make a difference. And so we'll give them just a minute longer. We'll just so my mission is really to reach out to those people that feel like that they're alone or don't have anybody to talk to because when you have a traumatic brain injury, it's can be really uncomfortable to have conversations with people because you for me, um, I know what I wanna say, and it sounds really good in my head, but when it comes out, it's very different. Um, and you'll notice that today. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I want to do this. I think that it's very important for me to acknowledge the differences between the way I dealt with my successes and my failures before and how I dealt with them after I had the stroke. Whereas before, when I had my failures, I would be angry and frustrated and, act out and I had a hard time accepting those failures. And then on the other hand, on the successes, I felt like everybody should be as excited as I was, and I should get these accolades. And because I didn't, I saw that success as a failure, and that was about me. And I've been a failure many times. I was a failure as a son, a failure as a brother, a failure as a friend, a failure as a nurse. I mean, there are times that you had a difficult patient and you just really couldn't do anything for them, and that was, I would take that as a failure. um and so I would either way I was going to be frustrated. So I think that after the stroke, it affected me so differently in the way that I perceive things. You know, where my successes before were for other people, and I felt like I needed to get this and that. Now my successes are just for me. If I get up out of bed and am able to walk down the stairs, that's without falling, that's a success for me. Everybody's successes are different. Um, and I think that it took me a while to learn not to be so hard on myself and know that there were other factors now that I did not have any control over, and it's really hard to maintain a positive attitude through all of this. And I've failed at that. Um, and one of those failures was this week. um I had an interaction with an individual who was very unempathetic, very degrading, made me feel broken, made me feel worthless, made me feel like I had no purpose, and I fed into that. And those things are so hard to take because they're so real, and people don't realize that their behaviors, their facial expressions are that you pick up on every little negative, even though it may not be a negative. You may think it's a negative, and I got offended and got my feelings hurt, and I had to process through it, and I had to think, this man doesn't know me. He doesn't know me from Adam. So why should he care if I'm, struggling with making a delivery for him and, him being ugly? He does not know me. So why am I taking that personal? So, I had to really stop and say, wait a minute, I can't let this affect me like that. And I have another failure in a sense that I'm still intimidated to go to just everyday places. you know Going to Lowe's, going to Walmart, going anywhere, because I'm constantly worrying about my gait. Am I walking okay? Am I holding my arm right? you know how are people perceiving me? And I would get so wrapped up into that. And I think I still am to a certain point, because there's only certain places that I go that I feel really comfortable. And, I know that the people there know my history. They know I've had a stroke. So they allow me to be me. And, then on the other hand, the successes are, when I would set a goal for myself, was my goal realistic? Would I truly be able to do that? Yeah, I wanted to move my arm and move my hand and be able to have a clear, articulate conversation. And so, but the successes can be really small. Like I said, if I get up in the morning, I'll walk downstairs without falling. Um, it unfortunately now, before my stroke, I was really determined. Whenever I got on a project, it was something that I wanted to complete. I wanted to do a good job, and I wanted to do it in a timely manner. And now I have to reevaluate every single thing. You know is this project too big for me? Can I do it? I have to be realistic because I have such limitations, and it doesn't make me less than. It just makes me more successful in my recovery when I don't set those goals and get so disappointed that, I just give up. And so, I really have to be aware that the goals that I set have to be realistic. And, when you're wanting your whole hand to move and you're trying everything in your being to get it to move and it won't, but then you see that little flicker, that little muscle or that little tendons, is gaining you some movement. That is such a success, and how can you be disappointed about that? I really work hard on not being disappointed because I can't do all that I want, but I'm successful in that. I'm happy with the success that I made. Do I give up? Absolutely not. I wake up the next day and set another goal. And I think that's real important to do, is every day get up and do something, fold clothes, sweep the floor, whatever you can do it. You know, I'm struggling with not being working right now. I love work. It was my purpose. And in order to get back into that feeling of what it's like to go on a job interview. I did go on a job interview, and it was frustrating in the fact that there were times that I had to clarify if I made my point, because the traumatic brain injury makes you feel foggy. You can't you can't just stream these conversations so fluently. You have to stop, and you have to think, and you have to think about the words and how to pronounce them, and you know try not to slur, and you are constantly aware of all these things. And so it was a success for me to be able to have that experience, to be able to get back in there and see if I can have an articulate conversation, and uh, I can I can adequately convey my thoughts and responses to questions. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot more of a brain fog than I do. And one of the things that happens is that people bombard you with so much information, and you get frustrated because you don't understand. And so you can either be a failure and just act like you really know what they're saying, or you can either have a success and say, hey, wait a minute, you're going a little too fast. I'm having a hard time comprehending, and be okay with that. I have a college degree. I should be able to understand a conversation and be able to complete a thought. Sometimes between the brain fog and the fatigue, it does not happen. But I'm not going to give up trying. I'm still going to try to get back to 100%. I want to go back to work. I want to be able to provide for my family, you know, and I have to let all of those old failures go, you know, um, beat myself up, beating myself up about the things that I should have done differently. Well, we all have had experiences where we made some inappropriate choices or some bad choices, and we had to suffer those consequences. So, but I think the main thing with this stroke for me is it has made me a better person to myself. I'm more important. Um, Even though I have these deficits and I cannot control them, they are something that's a part of this new me that I have to adapt to. And I think that that's another thing with successes, is being able to adapt to those, adapt the goals to what you realistically can do, because you can be your own worst enemy. You'll beat yourself up because you weren't able to pick up a coffee cup, or you went to pick something up and it dropped out of your hand. That's every day. And that's something that it's hard to deal with. But I'm really learning that if you try to look at a situation from a more positive view, even though everything looks bad, you feel bad, you think you look bad, you walk odd, you have a balancing problem, speech problems, whatever it is, and you feel bad about yourself and you feel like a failure. But you know what? When you learn that it's a part of the stroke and it's a part of everything that we can work on to get better, we can do. If we want our brain to get better, we can do exercises to make that happen. Everybody's different. Everybody has um, their own mindset of how they want to go about their recovery. I work really hard. I worked really hard as soon as I had my stroke. Um, and I think that people don't understand too that right after your stroke, for several months, you are on an emotional roller coaster that is like no roller coaster you've ever been on. You bust it out into tears for that littlest things. You get frustrated with yourself. You you get anxious, you get depressed, you get sad, you get withdrawn, you get isolative, all of these things. And we have to be aware of those. And I think that, one of the things that I'm really wanting to do with these YouTube channel is that I want those people that I see on the stroke recovery sites that are so depressed and, just want to talk to somebody and somebody that understands where they're coming from and what it's like. And because even though people say they understand, if they have not had a stroke, they do not really fully comprehend what it's like and all the emotional things you go through. You have a certain amount of paranoia that, people are, doing you wrong or getting over on you or mistreating you, and you become reactive to that. And I did that. And that was a big failure in my recovery. But I realized that, and I can't change that. I can only acknowledge it and apologize for it. But there is that emotional roller coaster that is real. You always feel less than. You know you always question why people are looking at you the way they are, and you see people laughing. Where are they laughing at me? And I'm walking somewhere and I kind of stumble and I look around to see who saw me, and of course people see you. And it's it's I don't want to say hurtful. It's more embarrassing, and it just makes you feel broken. And in my brokenness, I'm perfect. And, I have to embrace that. And it's really difficult to do. Thank God I have some great support in my life. I wish that everyone had the support that I have. Um, but it changes you. It changes the way you think. It changes everything about you. Um, I like to think now that I'm a much better person. I think I'm happier, um, as far as on a daily basis. Um, I don't have those daily struggles of frustration and anger and bitterness and you know being resentful. And now I have one of number one, gratitude, because God got me through it for some reason. I don't know what that is yet. I'm yet to find that out, but he got me through that for a reason. And so you know I really want to become a better person, become, not focus so much on the failures as I do the successes. Um, uh, that's hard to do when you've lived a life of putting yourself down and listening to these negative tapes and feeling like you're not good enough or worthy enough or no one cares, and all these negative things. And I can honestly say that I have much less frequent days of feeling awful about myself, even though I know I have my limitations and that I am different. I'm very grateful to be here. I hope that people will share this YouTube channel, because I really am struggling with, you know, people, needing support and not I don't know how to reach them other than this. And I want it to be more interactive. I want, I'm 2 years post stroke. I'm by no means an expert, but I know what it's like to have a stroke. And, I know that there's a lot of people out there that need some support and encouragement. And that's why I want to do this channel. So, ask people to share. If you know anybody that's just suffering from depression, anxiety, come here and talk about it and get some encouragement, get some support, and know that you're not alone, and know that, other things have happened to people that they don't understand either, but they make the best of it. They try to make the best of it, I should say. But anyway, so I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please stay tuned for more videos coming up. If you have anything that you would like to talk about, any particular, time that's better for other people to get on and maybe interact and maybe get something that they may need that they may not even realize that they need. But anyway, I want everybody to have a great day. My stroke survivors, keep on fighting. It gets better. Know that it gets better. You're never, just because someone says you're done, you're not done. If you're breathing, you have an opportunity to make it better. So I love you guys. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.